Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. Up and at 'em. Today is Monday, the beginning of the work week. For many of us, it's just another day, right? So, yesterday, I was able to get the first video out in a few days, and I got in last night. I think it was around 7 from baling. We've got more hay to bale today, and we're just about done. So, get some of that much needed rest. This actually going to the shop is where I get rested, if that sounds like anything. So, So what I'm doing today is not today, but I've been working at it. If you look around, you notice that there's a lot less clutter. Well, it's going to be even a lot less than that because I'm going to try to turn this over into the studio that I wanted in the first place instead of my back office. I'm going to clean the clutter, clean up everything. And then I got some Briggs signs, trimmer trap signs, Generac, and I'm going to post them. Not because I'm advertising for them, but it kind of gives a sense of, all right, who we are. But I also understand that more than half of you aren't small engine repair. You're just here to listen to some old fart give some kind of advice that never works, right? But no, that's like you guys helped me with a tool challenge of changing over, which I got to get back and get that cleaned up. We usually do this stuff during the fall and winter when we have more time, but trying to change it up and do it as I can. Hopefully, it doesn't come across as strictly business and that's all we do because it's not, right? We do a lot more than business. Probably, if I were to go review half of my videos, it would be on personal development, things to do to get yourself in a good place, or how to avoid getting yourself into a bad place, right? Like yesterday, we talked about getting needed rest. And I told you, do as I say and not as I do, because right now I feel like I'm running on empty. But I can see the end post, and that is haying season is going to be pretty much done. We could do another farm, but I'm thinking not. I got plenty of hay right now, and as I explained to them, I let them know early on that I probably wouldn't be doing it this year. If they could get somebody else in there, that would be beneficial for both of us. They could get the hay cut, right? And, they're one of the few that I pay to use the hay ground. The rest of them are just like, come get it, do it for free. But this year, knock on wood, we have had zilch for breakdowns. And why is that? It's because this year we had a slow start. And when I say a slow start, I told Claude, I said, I do not want to roll one day before everything is fixed and fixed right. And we worked at it. While everybody was out knocking hay down and baling hay on sunny days, we were still working on equipment. And I could even see Claude was getting frustrated with it. We should be haying it. But I can look at hindsight and look and say we did the exact right thing because we end up getting some really good quality hay put up with zero breakdowns other than, a, a twine not tying right but that's what you want to do on a regular basis in anything in your life, is if you plan accordingly, things will work a lot better than just flying by the seat of your pants and hoping for the best. Now, flying by the seat of your pants and hoping for the best, does that sometimes turn out? Absolutely. I can show you many examples in my life. But this deal of post surgery and brain dead on my part has kind of changed the way I do things. I don't fly by the seat of my pants. I have to plan things out. And I can't have more than one thing going on at a time or I get confused. And I still have to have somebody do my meds. Um, I got to fill out some paperwork for um, these people that want to help see if they can't transition my wife over to a nursing home versus a mental health hospital. And I couldn't even fill out the paperwork. I didn't even know where to start. It's like a deer in the headlights, right? So they're going to sit down and help me with that. But it's not because I don't want to fly by the seat of my pants or that I want to do certain things a certain way. It's I can't anymore. And I think the biggest thing for me was acceptance. And acceptance of who I am, not what I was. And in the areas that I used to do really well at, which is chaos and stress, I don't handle too well. But the new and improved Eric is a planner because I have to. And having to know how things are supposed to go. And I'm also the guy that's walking 2 miles every morning, or most mornings. The last week here I haven't, but it's because mainly with these Canadian fires and stuff, my lungs are still getting better every day, right? And this smoke that is just surrounding us is terrible, you know. And my sister-in-law mentioned wearing a mask that we used to all wear during COVID. Might better get me one of those oxygen masks so I can breathe when I'm walking. But no, it's a better deal for me if I can plan things out. And I look at myself as a new improved Eric of a different, you know, I can do more physically now than I could a year ago. So that's really good. Yeah, a year ago I couldn't even walk across the street without bending over in pain of having a slight heart attack. So sometimes you get a wake-up call and it says you need to slow your keister down. Some people don't make it through it. Amos and I are the lucky two. But there's so many cases of the ones that didn't make it that keep me in check, keeps me balanced, and gives me a reason to do what I'm told to do. And that is, you know, Greg from Upstate Medical, he said, do what you want to do, Eric, until it hurts, and then stop. And that seemed like kind of vague advice, especially when you're talking to me, because I'm always the one that does it until it hurts and then push through. And I know many of you are like that too. The other key thing is getting your rest. And you hit on it, Jason, very well, of where if you don't get your 7 to 8 hours sleep, it screws you up. And I'm the same way. You know, this morning I overslept actually, but I normally get 8 or 9 hours sleep. And it's not uninterrupted. Got to get up and go pee, right? Us old people. But it's still rest. And even if you're laying in bed with your eyes closed, it's rest. The idea that you go into the shop at 7 in the morning and you don't come out until 7 o'clock at night tells me you're a hermit, Jason. You need to shut the shop down at 4 o'clock and go do things that you enjoy. I know you got a family and they might like to see you once in a while. I guess they could always just walk out to the shop, but because I know that you and I are the same cloth there. If any one of my kids say something that doesn't sound right, whatever I'm doing, I stop and I just sit there and I listen. That's what good parents do. I used to think my grandfather wasn't listening to me, but he was. He was just doing this thing, and I didn't come across with anything serious or asinine, so he continued working on his woodworking projects. So what are we doing at the shop? Well, we're going to do a couple redos. And Claude doesn't feel that we should be doing a redo on it, but it is a redo. And that is, we had a customer drop off a John Deere rider, and the deck needed a lot of work. The main support frames were busted right off, so Claude took and cleaned that all up, re-welded it, got that all done. But there was a little bit around the chute, and he left that. He didn't do that part because he thought, well, shoot, we got the main structural, and it's just used at camp. But when she came to pick it up Friday, she loaded it and then unloaded it because we weren't there late in the afternoon, and sent me a text saying, Eric, can you fix the deck? And what she was talking about is right there by the chute. So I had some splashing that I had left over from another project here at the house that I was showing Claude. So let's just cut a piece, form it in, pop, rivet it, and that'll solve that problem and we can get paid. The other one was the six-wheeler that's been in my shop for 6 months. Finally, I delivered it Saturday morning. Everything was working good, running good. Unloaded it off the trailer and visited with a couple, and he hopped on the machine, took it for a quick burst around, and then parked it. Well, later in that day, I'm sitting there bailing and my phone goes off. So I look and it's a message from her saying that they can't get it to throttle up. So I mentioned it to Claude. I said, we're going to have to go take a look at it. Now they can't get it to throttle up. It's got a brand new carburetor on it, And he's like, well, that's not our problem. It was running and driving when we unloaded it. This isn't on us. I said, yeah, it is. Because it should last more than a day anyways. If we can't back our work, then what good are we? And that's the way I've always approached business, is just doing the right thing. Maybe they did something that screwed it up, okay? Maybe. But in the end, it's my reputation of having a shop that stands behind the work. If you have somebody that goes out and does something that we had nothing to do with, blows it up or what have you, then I don't feel so much it's on us. But we replaced it with a brand new carburetor, and it could be just one of the cables come out of place. Maybe Claude forgot to put one of the ties down so that the cable that moves isn't moving anymore, or it shouldn't be moving, and the throttle in itself can't rev up. That's the only. She said it would start, but it wouldn't rev up. So we got that on our plate. We've got a Tractor International 404 that we've worked on before. We did the brakes, put a set of tire chains on it, and there was something else. But now it's spitting hydraulics into the engine oil. And what it boils down to be is, on the old Internationals, anybody that wants to know, it's a front-mounted pump to the engine. And there's a seal there. And if the seal goes, it will end up pumping hydraulic fluid past that seal right into the base of the engine. So you'll get that mix of hydraulic and engine oil. It's better than having it run without any, but still. So he got a hold of me and wanted to know if we had time. And I said, yeah. So he's looking at either a bad seal, or as he said, if the pump is iffy, just get an aftermarket and replace it. Because you can't get the new ones anymore. They don't make them. Not unless you buy a pre-owned. And our history with pre-owned is, it's just like us taking it out of this guy's tractor, throwing it on eBay, and somebody buying it to put it into theirs. Well, if it's not good enough to put it into this one, what are you putting it on eBay for? If you want to put it out there as parts, that's one thing. But don't sell it as a good pre-owned pump, which many of them do. So we got those two. We've got the Skidder Ford New Holland with a skidding winch on the back that we just got done replacing all the bearings, new chain, a bunch of other nice little stuff. And I see it parked back in the yard Saturday when I went to pick up the six-wheeler. I'm like, oh no, is this going to be a redo? So I went in, and sure enough, on the answering machine, he said that everything worked great with the skidding winch and the loader. They were having a problem with a hydraulic leak that they couldn't find. It took me all of 5 minutes, and I found the hydraulic leak that we'll fix today. So they're really pleased. That's the key. Doing good quality work, standing behind your work, will get you more work from the same customer. I mean, we started off with a customer, William, that never had dealt with us before and never even heard of us. And we took his one tractor that nobody could get right, and we fixed it so it was running great, and the bill was like $200-300. That include trucking. So from there, we got a call that his tractor, Big International, was having issues. So we took the carburetor off, we made 2 trips out there, got it running good, adjusted good, and now he wants to pick up his skid steer because he's got a hydraulic leak somewhere. If you do good work and you're fair, people will keep having you do more. They will. If you don't stand behind your work and you start finding excuses of why it didn't work, instead of trying to find ways to get it to work, then that tells me that you don't take pride in your job. You don't. If whatever you did didn't work, then find something that does work. That's all I can tell you. And if you treat your customers fair, treat them the way you would hope to be treated, not the way everybody else treats them, but the way you would hope to be treated. Is it going to backfire sometimes? Yeah. You're going to get that customer no matter what you do. It's not going to be right. And we just had a John Deere Zero turn in, and I went to school with the guy, and I knew it was going to be kind of a iffy subject. But he wanted, the only reason it came in is because the hydraulic belt broke. So here's where you learn and take a responsibility, all right? So I did a parts lookup. It was a 777 Z-Track, zero turn, big one. And it said that it needed this part number for a belt. So I ordered the belt, and it came in, and he didn't have it an hour, and it started to shred part of the belt. So I went down to the John Deere dealership, and I told them I need a belt for this one. So they ordered it, got it in, and we looked at it. And what ended up happening is on the 777, there was 2 belts. One that went to the 7 groove pulley and one that went to 6. The 2 belts that I got, the one that started to shred and the one from the John Deere dealership, were for the 7. The machine took the 6. It's a serpentine belt. So I got online and I ordered the one for the 6. And we put it on, buttoned everything all up, and dropped it off. What was the charge for that? Nothing. Because to me, it was on me. I mean, the other belt, the 7 one that shredded, part of it shredded, it was shredding the 7th one. Would the rest of it probably had held up? Yeah, but it wasn't right. So we got the right one on, got it back and delivered and dropped off, no charge. That one's on me. But that's the way I do business. If it's something that on my end, I'm not looking for excuses of why it didn't go right or according to plan. I'm too busy trying to figure out how do I make it right and get it where it needs to be. And some of those times it's going to be on your dime. If you made the mistake, isn't it only reasonable that you may have to ante up a little bit? You can't win all the time. And you're not going to win all the time. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm probably the most imperfect person you're ever going to meet. But I accept my imperfections and I try to do right. It's not what you did, it's what you do about it. So, on that note, you guys have a great Monday and we'll catch you here bright and early for tomorrow morning's the weekday. And hopefully, this week I will be able to get this office completely transformed. So, on that note, you guys enjoy your Monday.